Legally split like a flash in the pan. It is your boy, SinglePlayerCarl. This is being recorded specifically for featuring of this build design on the Once Human subreddit. Should anybody have any further questions, they can be able to contact me at any of the links that are over there on the side of the screen, and or be able to contact me directly by going to either my YouTube or Twitch streams whenever I am live. I usually stream anywhere between 6 to 16 hours a day. Moving past that, onto the actual tutorial and guide. So, the general basic concept is farming in all of its wisdom really sucks. I just posted a intermediate design before ensuring everything functions and works. Fix the camera real quick. And everything here is the basic aptitude of what you would need to have to start making a high density, high growth farm. For the infinite wisdom in the minds of the developers, they have made it possible to do something like this, where you can have the sprinkler system box overlaid on top of your planters, and with the sprinkler system overlaid on top of the planters, along with a regimen of grow lights, excuse me, segmented in such a way to ensure maximum coverage. You can go from the kinds of builds that were being done before, where most people had what I describe as the giant screw you tower to the sky, and actually have a proper fragmented, segmented system of farming that can be capable of carrying you, as soon as you have access, in my opinions, to basic filters as well as osmosis filters, through to the end of a scenario encounter. This can be used for solo use. This inside of World PvE -10025 is what I have used to fund and majorly stock the majority of most deviated crops in the server, as well as providing easy around-the-clock food focus for any Prime Wars, any hard grind activity, and particularly for just going around on-the-go food. Doing this design is pretty straightforward, pretty simple, and when you get to the end of it, it's not anywhere near as complicated as you might think. It literally just takes a little bit of ingenuity and a little bit of mindset for it. So, let's get some basic math out of the way. For every 4 pumps, does not need to be a special kind of pump. It can be wired all together into the same pump outlet. But the problem is, it's a maximum of about 10 connections. Once you go from one water pump to another, you then have the ability to extend that connection to then add 3 osmosis water purifiers. This is the maximized setup. You can go bigger than this if you have more power draw, particularly if you are able to find somebody who has the particular perk. Let's wait, I set it up here. I'm dumb. I forgot my own setup. If you have access to a deviation energy generator that has any of the battery extensions to give yourself 42.5 watts, and someone to be able to give you the additional Sparksmith crafts to give you 32 watts on the majority of your solar panels. Even if you are able to just get the minimum of Sparksmith 1, which will increase your power gain on your solar generators by 10, you want at least, I'd say, 4 to 5 dedicated to your power setup for your water, because the irrigation system itself will be a fulfilling irrigation system that will cycle your water from the ground upwards and out, and then throughout your facility to the storage containers. This particular build, its design, takes less than 2 hours to get done. The only reason is because if you're doing this all from scratch and you're rebuilding the same way that I chose to rebuild this used to be a much bigger facility with way too many structures and way too many decors and accessories with overmanaged and overuse done. It's actually still in the middle of your construction because I'm redesigning the construction base first. The way in which it is designed with understanding in mind. That's why there's a checkered roof pattern to the ceiling. It then can have maximum capacity water tanks snake through on the same level and higher deck, segmented away so that it can then be wired down to the remaining water tank, which will act as the end gap point of the entire chain. All 3 osmosis filters feeding through the pumps upwards into the supply and then snaking their way through, which will allow for your acids and your pure water to filter into the boxes. If you're only concerned about purification when it comes to your acid supply, you will get a decent amount of this acid supply. You'll have enough that you'll actually be able to stock on a frequency, because with 8 purifiers running in this zone, you should have something around about, if I can find my thing, that's right, back at Blackfell, around about 2 barrels running off of a Sparksmith solar generator, using 8 full stocked 1,000 acid. On water density, on how much this actually produces, you're going to have something around about this times 10. So the water will filter back through here, and if this is full, more than likely this is full, 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 and then somewhere around here, which you can jump on top of these by making use of either spring legs or having a roof design where you can get on top of the roof through this clove here, jump onto the roof, and then drop down on top of them to manage through all the crates, which is why I don't stack them up the top-down way. Mainly because, another thing that I wish they would kind of help with and fix, the water rules make it so that things that are being pulled uphill have to be pulled uphill in such a way to then be able to manage them downhill. That's why instead of using a pump system like the original upwards building design I had, I chose to go with pulling the tank down here and simply wiring them directly to this. Because the way that you're going to wire this is that you're going to have an independent wire for both power and water. That way you're not wasting water. Because as long as these are powered, they will always use the water that is being fed to them. You can be able to pre-feed them with 100, but you realistically want to put them on a power grid, both to reduce the amount of power that you use and the water that you use, but also because once they are fully watered, and most of the things are watered in such a way that they have enough. So if the basic requirement is 60, but you water them to 80, you can water them to that 80 count, wait till the boxes are saturated, and then break them down. All of these things together make for a simple build, which I will try to do my best to simulate and demonstrate here on the recording. So, back to the water. 8 pumps of water. Align them by 4, align them in a line of 8. Because I am inside the purification zone here on this particular spot at Evergreen, you have different choices on where you can go based on your purification and based on your polluted water. This location on the other side of this bridge, across from Rift Anchor 2 and Evergreen, is also an acceptable density amount. There are many other places on the map that can work for pollution, both for polluted construction and polluted oil, including the oil fields. This was an option, and I believe this area here is also an option. The area that is to the north of alternate reality research is also an option. There is pollution out here in these tree woods. There's also a little bit of pollution out here towards this. There's a lot towards, where's Lake Erie? Excuse me, Fort Erie, Fort Erie, Fort Erie. You also have a lot of pollution that can be found here and here in Erie. This can be simulated anywhere where you can be able to get a minimum of, as I'm standing in the zone, I would say 80 to 100 pollution. If you want to leave your pumps running saturated with water, that is a good alternative if you want to just have the water stocked and going over time. The reason why we go with a 3 osmosis setup is that the osmosis water purifiers, since they have 4 lines, can support 4 tanks. But the extra additional tank exists to pull that density off the reserves in the pumps and pull them through the system to make for one continuous round that continuously pulls and pipes. As you can see there, the pipe system works. You've got enough pieces running off that this extra dirty water that I'm picking up from my purifier mod, from my pack mule, right, shows that the water flows properly. Between a 2 setup, excuse me, between a 2 osmosis purifier setup, you will be able to pull all the water out of this and keep it on a continuous cycle, but you will eventually get slow buildup in your water pump. If you want to make sure that you're always continually flowing your acid so that the acid is not sitting inside of the purifier waiting to be delivered, that's what you put the third osmosis down for. As you see here, you have equal amounts where it's about 3 parts dirty water to 1 part polluted. That'll more or less be the aspect ratio. The majority of what you will pull whenever you're pulling polluted water, we all know it. It sucks. It is what it is. But 3 to 1 is the polluted to pure ratio. Once you have it in your tanks and it flows through your tanks, especially if you make this normally, they're going to flow down to the last point of contact. And in that last point of contact where there is space to be provided, where you have empty space for the acid to flow is where the acid will go. If you look through your pipage and you don't see where your acid is, more than likely you've got some extra water buildup in one of your back tanks, and you just need to go through the back tank and pull out that acid wherever it is. So I have a suspicion that, yeah. So here you can see that the impure acid is flowing through slowly, and that these are actually older water tanks from the last design. So as it flows through the empty holes of your water tank, remember that when it does transference rules, it's going to build up and then it's going to pull out one at a time. Not multiple, but one at a time. So if you're just looking for this to be a set and forget it system, set it up overnight, turn it on, but do not don't pump the water to the sprinklers yet. And that's going to be that buildup. So with that out of the way, you get the ability to pump your polluted at the same time you're producing your pure, and then go crazy with whatever you want for it. As for the setup, when you're doing this, there are several different ways that you can set it up. The way that I've chosen to go for is a 4x setup, where X is the length and 4 is the maximum width. In terms of lengths and height, looking from above, what that means is that you have grow lights segmented in such a way where 4 2x2 tiles, which that's 4x4, which is 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Crazy? No, I miscounted somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 by 16. You've got these 16 by 16 squares segmented in the middle, where the water coverage will matter by the water pumps. It doesn't have to be exact because the water pumps themselves will do a 2x2 area around themselves. If you segment them the way that I have them currently here, where you get the boxes to layer on top of the bottom, it can't cover the middle, which is how this works. It cannot cover the middle spike, so you're going to have to get real precise when you place these boxes. But if you don't cover the middle piece, you can leave that gap there, and that gap can operate as a way for you to manage the water flow, especially if you want to change those crops out. For this particular line, I believe this is going to be for anything that is going to be for plants, because I don't do flowers. Set it up in this line. Make sure to keep it 4x on your length, because that's the minimum you're going to need, because you're going to have side coverage with the extra grow lights. If you're asking about this particular half gable design, this half gable design lifts the grow lights off the ground so that you actually get more coverage. That's why there's this medium walkway here and then this entire expansive space. This is going to be probably for target farming for specific purposes, and this is going to be for just sheer grow density. And then, because this is a grow building, aside from the area that will be designed for storage and for general use, I'll probably add more facilities on top of it. You have a Stardust water pump. to supply for the craft of the fertilizer. The general design, you're going to want to have a checkered building. I use checkered and I use wood on top of either concrete or technically faux wood, half wood, because this is how I made sure to balance the wall. You want to make sure you have the boxes to the edge. When the boxes are to the edge, place them down in such a way where they are flush to the barrier wall. Because of the rules of how we place things, if you don't use the swap view, if you're always placing it on the right hand of the screen versus the left hand of the screen, you're going to get a drastic situation where instead of what it normally places like, it's going to place like this. You can still use this to your benefit as long as you crouch. And you just simply find that edge of the wall, try to move your cursor and camera in so that you're not bending away, so that they stay underneath the illumination of what you need. And you place, you place, you place, you place, you place. Once you have it right, all you got to do is adjust the grow lights themselves. They have a targeting setting. So if I needed to know that these grow lights are being covered by a particular position, set the grow light to a specific number that you know you can see, and then just go through. And as you can see, the boxes are not only being watered, but they also are under coverage. And because they're also independent to the section of the grow lights, you can actually be able to segment this, that you can have it on the same water type, but you could have 2 different types of crops growing on the same line, or you can have multiple crops in each 4x4 growing on the multiple line. Every single bit of this is modular. Take this idea, take this build, change it for how you need it, change it for how you want it, make it as big as you want, make it as small as you want. This can work inside of a high-rise. This can work inside of, I would say this is a 1.5 half gable ranch design. As long as you can tell where you're going to begin and when you're going to end your boxes, you will be fine. So, for example, if I wanted to design this in such a way where this is going to be a dead zone of craft, this is for display purposes. If I decided this section, this area where the pump is, segmented into the ground so that you don't fall down and don't get trapped like I did multiple times. If you know you don't want anything in this particular space to block the path of traffic in and out of this walkway, then you can have it continue over on this side and then out and around. The limitations to what you choose to set is all you really need to have. I'm probably going to finish the rest of this design later or live on air, but this is the basic design. Please, other builders and crafters out there, let me know if you have any other hints, tips, tricks that you have used to create your system, and holla at them up and let me know. If my build and design has helped you, please post links. I'd love to see them. Anyways, I'm Carl. That's all I gotta say. I'll see you motherfuckers next time. Adios.